we go. Buckle on up. And at the time of this video, I actually just broke 1,000 kilometers. So that's a very big milestone. So we're on a bit of open road now, and the spec that I went for, the exact breakdown, it's a 991.2 2018 GTS. And there's some thought process to why I ended up choosing this model. I definitely wanted to stay stick, so that kind of ruled out the turbo. The GT3 is kind of an unobtainable beast, impossible to get an allocation, especially here in Canada, so maybe that is the next upgrade. We'll keep the fingers crossed, but the main reason is good old manual, and that is really hard to get in sports cars these days. You look at even BMW, Audi, Mercedes, they're all automatic, dual clutch, and don't get me wrong, I do think the PDK is one of the best, if not the best dual clutch in the market. It's lightning quick. I've driven them on tracks. It even makes the car feel a bit faster, but there is something about the engagement of a stick shift, something about manually changing your own gears, giving you that extra control, the extra feedback you have with the clutch. And for the people who say that you live in the city and it must be tiring, it must be a pain in the butt, those are the same people that take escalators and refuse to take the stairs. You're literally pressing one extra pedal. If anything, you're burning more calories staying in better shape. I'm gonna make that a movement, staying in shape by pressing the clutch. Oh, and when you downshift, oh, that's when you get the smile. Of course, we've run into more traffic, but that's the perfect time to talk about the build that I went for. So the first and biggest choice, I think, is color. It's so hard to capture on camera how good it looks. It's called chalk crayon if you're in Europe. It's kind of got an off-white grayish vibe to it. It's unique. I haven't seen too many. It turns heads, and it's not a color that screams out, look at me, I'm so flashy. It's a bit classy, and once again, I think the build that I went for is for this car to be a bit unique. I opted to go for the tiny ducktail at the back. That's another aero kit. Can't believe Porsche makes you spend close to $2,000. I do think that's a bit absurd, and for anyone that has spec'd one out, you know that you can spec up your options to 30, 40, 50 grand if you're not careful, and that's the cost of another car in its own. A bit mind-blowing if you ask me, but for the rest of my exterior package got painted side skirts and the gloss sunroof, which is dope. You cannot do that in a GT3. And coming to the inside of the cabin, the GTS model comes with a lot of Alcantara, so you'll either love or hate that. It's technically cheaper to make since it's synthetic than, say, leather, but it gives it that racy feel. I still opted, though, to get a smooth leather finish on the steering wheel and gear shifter because that's the areas which I'm engaging with most. I just thought it might hold up a bit better, and I have no regrets choosing the GTS interior. It adds all of the red stitching, all of the carbon fiber bits, adding some of the red on the analog gauges, which I'm so happy they're still analog. Call me a bit of old school. I will be sad to see those go digital in the 992 next year. Just do me the favor of getting a manual, whenever you want. Downshift over that 3,500 RPM line. That's where all the meaty torque is, and you can go all the way up to 7,500. As the 991.2s are the first 911s that have a turbo engine, people will say that they're missing soul, they're missing the naturally aspirated engine. I think Porsche did a very good job at hiding the turbo lag. Obviously doesn't sound as good as a naturally aspirated engine, but don't get me wrong, as this has sport exhaust, I've always got mine in sport. It gurgles, it purrs. I think the low-end torque game is worth it, and this guy is actually faster around the Nürburgring than the older 991.1 GT3. That is impressive. Now we're singing on to open highway, and this is where this guy gets fun. I get it, you can hold the gears in a PDK, but hammering that down, whoo! Oh. I think I broke out into little tiny bead sweats all over my face and legs here. And the next big question, I know being a techie YouTuber, why didn't you get a Tesla? I think electric cars are the future. I've driven in a Tesla. They just don't get the mojo going. There is something so iconic about a 911, something so robust about having a manual car, probably the same reason why I still wear an analog watch. It's the feedback that you get from the car, and that's something that I still do not feel in a Tesla. I don't feel engaged. And I do think that the interiors are a tad bit too simple, but where I think the 911 is lacking is in the tech. I do think it's a bit behind. The fact that this car does not have a wireless charging pad, I've driven BMWs, even Hondas, Toyotas that have had them. The fact that my Apple CarPlay doesn't work unless I've got my iPhone plugged into only the USB port in the glove compartment, I think that's strange. And I didn't even end up choosing to upgrade my radio, whether that was the Bose or Burmeister. I have the best radio that's sitting in the back, which is a flat 6. That's the best radio that you need. And just don't let the numbers dictate your decision. And I know that Porsche is still fairly conservative with, say, it's 0 to 60 times. We are just under 4 seconds on that mark. And I actually have to go fill up again, as this car does get thirsty, and that's the price I pay for staying in 3rd to 4th gear 90% of the time. Now that was an OG 911 right there. Back to my spot here where the car lives sadly for most of the year. Obviously wish I could drive it more, but that is life. But curious to hear your guys' thoughts on what your dream car would be. Would it be a 911? Would it be a Lambo? Would it be a Tesla? But hope you guys enjoyed this very special video for me, and hope to catch you guys hopefully in another car video soon. Catch you guys then.